Hey guys, this is AJ22 coming today with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Review after a very long hiatus where just one thing after one thing after one thing prevented me from getting these reviews out. I'm finally back doing these Yu-Gi-Oh! Reviews again. They're not going to be every Saturday probably, but I am going to try to get at least 2 out a month. After all, we do have a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! To cover. It is a very long manga series. And I am, of course, not in my regular review studio room on my couch that I intended to be my review studio couch. Because even though my room is a mess, that area around that couch is an even bigger mess. So it wasn't feasible to do it there. And up here I have access to my better microphone. So that is a plus. For those of you who don't remember, we were on the 4th chapter of the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga, the early Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga, which is actually one of my favorite chapters for very weird reasons that I'll talk about in a moment. But let's start by going through the plot. This chapter, titled Jailbreak, starts with a jailbreak. Prisoner 777 has killed a guard and escaped prison. Jailed for multiple counts of deck stacking in the first degree, he has discovered a loophole in the law. Because the police in this world only prosecute card game related crimes, he can just kill people indiscriminately and no one will do anything about it. And now it's raining outside my house, and you can probably hear it in the recording. Whatever. Anyway, we cut from this scene of a man having just killed another man to Yugi and Jonochi trying to figure out what they want to do for dinner. If there is one thing that early Yu-Gi-Oh! Is good at, it is mood whiplash. Anyway, the two of them are considering going to this new burger place, Burger World or something. I don't really care enough to remember what it's called. But Anzu, just weirdly, out of nowhere, starts going off on this place, talking about how horrible the food is and how sick it makes you, and imploring them not to go. So of course, Yugi and Jonochi, being true friends, take Anzu on her word and decide to go eat somewhere else. Oh, no, wait, actually they think she's acting weird, so they decide to stalk her. Our heroes, ladies and gentlemen. I guess at this point they're technically just protagonists. They're not actually heroes, so I take it back. Anyway, they follow her and they end up at this new burger place. It turns out that's actually where she was going, because she's the new hostess there. And she didn't want to be embarrassed by people from school knowing that she was working at a crappy restaurant job. Now granted, Yugi and Jonochi are good enough that they don't even consider telling people that Anzu is working at this place after she asks them not to. Even before she asks them not to, when it's just clear that she doesn't want people to know, they don't really have any inclination to tell anybody. And because deep down, very, very deep down, they are actually good friends, she tells them about her dream. She wants to go to New York City and study to be a dancer, which is actually one of few character traits that Anzu keeps throughout the entire series. The other being that she's really only good for 2 things, and that's talking about friendship and, being kidnapped, or put into some kind of danger, or just generally being a drag on the other characters. Anzu's not a very good character. I'm only kind of just now realizing that. Anyway, Prisoner 777 shows up at this Burger World out of all of the restaurants on the planet, and he takes Anzu hostage, because of course he does. He blindfolds her and sits down with her at a booth with a gun pointed at her head, and demands some luxury items that he wasn't allowed to have in prison. Cigarettes and vodka. And of course, this particular Burger World just happens to be stocked with cigarettes and vodka. Because we know that no one was able to run out to a different location and get them because he's basically holding the entire restaurant hostage. I just find it doubly convenient that he happened upon the Burger World where our heroes, our protagonists, just happened to be dining, and that just happened to have vodka and cigarettes in stock, despite the fact that it's a burger restaurant. Like a chain burger restaurant. But it doesn't even matter. I don't even care about the convenience, because what comes next is one of the most badass scenes in manga history. Looking at Yugi and rightfully assuming that he is absolutely useless and completely harmless in every way, Prisoner 777 insists that Yugi bring him the items that he requested, because of course, Yugi can't do anything. There is nothing that Yugi can do to stop him. Of course, by inviting Yugi over, Prisoner 777 just happened to be inviting someone else over as well. When Anzu, very heroically I might add, tries to turn Yugi away, risking her own safety to do so, she is harmed by Prisoner 777, and this enrages Yugi and causes the other Yugi to come out. He still brings Prisoner 777 the items he asked for, but he suggests that they play a little game too. And Prisoner 777, just getting out of prison, thinks, hey, a game might be fun. Oh, he has no idea. He has no idea what's coming for him. And the game is actually very simple. Both Prisoner 777 and the other Yugi are each allowed to pick one finger that they are allowed to use to make an attempt to defeat the other person, for lack of a better term. Basically, they're going to try to kill each other using one finger each. It's not explicitly said that that's what they're going to try to do with said finger, but I mean, Yugi does point out that the loser of the game will die, so it's definitely implied. Of course, Prisoner 777 chooses his trigger finger and points the gun at Yugi. Yugi, on the other hand, chooses his thumb. And then he waits for Prisoner 777 to start pouring his incredibly pure vodka. And then he says, "Here, let me light your cigarette, since we're playing this game and you can't use any of your other fingers for anything else." So he holds up the lighter, lights the guy's cigarette, and then just kind of casually drops the lit lighter onto the guy's hand. And it just so happens that Yugi does this just as Prisoner 777 is finishing filling up his cup. So now vodka is overflowing from his cup, all down the front of him. Very, very pure vodka. If he moves his left hand, the lighter will fall into the vodka and light him on fire. If he fires his gun, the recoil will cause him to drop the lighter and light himself on fire. He hesitates, and this allows Yugi to get Anzu away from him, and then he completely loses his cool and ends up lighting the vodka on fire and setting himself on fire and burning to death. Yeah, it's that kind of manga. This is easily one of the most brutal scenes, not only in the early Yu-Gi-Oh manga, but in the entirety of the Yu-Gi-Oh franchise. And I love it. Not because of the brutality of it, but because we get to see the other Yugi's true ingenuity here. He's not using a shadow game to defeat this guy. He used one simple trick to completely disable this opponent's ability to act in a situation where his opponent was completely in control, and then walked away completely unscathed. And yes, it was an extremely convenient situation. Everything was set up perfectly for the other Yugi to win. But that's why I don't care about the convenience of the prisoner finding the restaurant in the first place, because the conveniences balance each other out. And the other Yugi still shows enough ingenuity here that I think, regardless of the specifics of the situation, he still would have been able to defeat the opponent just as easily as he did here. Though I do question slightly how casually the characters continue to act after a man lights himself on fire right there in the same room as them. Though I guess in the pure anarchy of a world where the police only prosecute card game related crimes, that's the kind of thing you have to get used to. And of course, not having even seen him once, Anzu is now in love with the other Yugi, because of course she is. Which is funny, because the other Yugi is portrayed as, at his basis level, a more confident, more mature version of Yugi himself, which suggests that Anzu is actually just in love with Yugi, which shouldn't surprise me because I think we all saw that coming. Guys, I certainly hope you enjoyed this review of Chapter 4 of Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope the rain in the background didn't bother you too much, if you noticed it at all. We are only just now starting to delve into the true craziness that is the early chapters of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga. So come back next time as we delve into Chapter 5, False Prophet.